gentlemen, I am proud to introduce to you a guy who, quite frankly, I didn't know him very well, didn't know much about him, but as a testimony to where we are with figure making today, modern figure making. When I was a young man, about 2 or 3 years ago, figure makers didn't really share a lot. They seemed to have more competitiveness. The reason I know this amazing guy is another amazing guy introduced me to him. I'm talking about Austin Phillips, who lives in Maine, close by me, who introduced me to Tyler Ellis, who is on with us tonight. Tyler is from Kansas. I really, honest to say, Tyler, I didn't know you were from Adam, but our very first phone call, I just felt a kinship. I call him the big man for some obvious reasons. If you've ever met him in person, he is a gentle giant by every stretch of the imagination, a very creative guy. It is my pleasure to introduce formally to all of you my friend Tyler Ellis. Tyler, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining.
So, Tyler, where are you? Where is your workshop located?
It is part of my garage. So
okay.
We recently bought a house that had a tandem 3-car garage. So it's 2 from the front, but on one side it extends the length of the house. So what I did was I put a wall up and put in a PTAC unit for heat and cooling and all that, and put a window in and finished it out. So yeah, my house is that way.
Gotcha. So that's beautiful. So right there in the house, so when you go to work, you walk in that door right there and you're at work. Is that right?
Yep.
Excellent. Cool.
This goes out to my garage, and then I go around to the house. But yeah,
excellent.
It's not a long commute.
So for anybody that just joined us, you guys are in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And, is that where you're from originally? Why don't you give us some background? Start with kind of, where you're born and raised. I know you had a family business you were a part of, and now you're in the dummy business. So, give us a quick recap of your life and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, a pretty decent sized town. Right now I live in a small town outside of Wichita called Clearwater. We kind of like the smaller towns. So I'm out here, and I went to school, the same school, K through 12, in another little town outside of Wichita. After my dad passed away when I was a senior in high school, and he owned an aircraft instrument business. So all of the gyros and gauges that are on the dash in small airplanes, we would work on all those. So when he passed away, he left it to my brother and I. So I kind of got thrown into that after high school, but I had been working there like every summer since I was like 12. So I was pretty used to it. Yeah, I was actually, the reason why I started working for Dad was so I could buy my first professional dummy. I worked a whole
my first what?
I
didn't hear what you said. Your first what? Really?
Yeah. So I had a little Mortimer Snerd toy dummy with moving eyes that I had for quite a while, and then I decided I wanted to upgrade. So I got in contact with the wonderful man Clinton Detweiler. Yeah, when I was, I want to say it was right before junior high, maybe. The local magic store here in Wichita told me about Mayer Studios, so I gave him a call, and he was, of course, wonderful and super kind and generous. And he told me about the Winchell tape, so I bought the Winchell tape, and then I also bought the Mayer course of ventriloquism, and I just went crazy with those for a long time. And in order to buy my first figure from Clinton, which was a Lovick figure,
which one was it, Tyler?
It was a very short run. There was only about 3 or 4 made. It was called Casey. And
Casey, I remember Casey. Casey.
Yeah, simple, sweet looking. I actually tracked him down. I found him in a magic shop. But I wrote him and never heard back, but I found him online. But But yeah, so I worked for Dad for a whole summer so that I could save up enough to buy him. And then, yeah, I Oh, it's horrible because my dad, the building of his business had a big rock bed all the way around it. And he wanted all that rock replaced. So I had to dig it up by hand in a wheelbarrow. And in Kansas heat, 90, 100-degree weather, it's hot. I'm fat. I'm sweating my butt off. And so I get the whole rock bed cleared out, put down mat, put down new rock. And it took me all summer to do it. But I did it, and I was able to buy my first professional dummy. And I used him I performed for like friends, and I went to a nursing home some and things like that. Nothing big. I wasn't ever very good at it. So, but I basically just kind of tinkered with it and just really loved the art form. Since the start was about 8 years old, I had, to back up, that's when the first exposure to ventriloquism when I was about 8. I saw my friend had a toy dummy, and I'd never seen one before. It was a Pee Wee Herman doll, and I thought it was super cool. So I asked my mom for one for Christmas, and she got me a little Danny O'Day doll, and I had that for a while. But yeah, so I started at 8 with my interest in it, and then kind of grew up until junior high. And then I got really involved like in high school, like back with the World Bench Yahoo group and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I always loved hard figures. I bought quite a few over the years. And I was always intrigued by the art form and kind of how they were made. So Mike Bros had come out with a book, figure making or can be fun. And I bought that book and bought some clay and started practicing. And then, as fate would have it, I found out that I had a mutual friend with Greg Clausen. Greg lives outside of Wichita as well.
Yep.
Since I moved, we're about 45, 50 minutes away now, but we still see each other a lot. But anyways, we were introduced from a mutual friend, and we talked through email and on the phone, and then he invited me out to see his collection and some of the stuff he was working on, and I was just obviously blown away. And this was right after high school, and Greg he saw how passionate I was about it, and that I had a desire to learn how to do it. So he was very nice, and I sculpted my first head, and then he helped me build the whole thing from start to finish. It took me 2 or 3 years to get it done because I would do a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we'd have to keep coordinating and get back and forth. But yeah, so he helped me build my first one, which was Hank, that Jimmy V owns, that drunk dummy. I really liked him.
Hey, Jimmy showed that the other night, right? In our conversation? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Greg taught me how to do that, and then we became really good friends, and then I started doing it more on the side. And I've always loved vintage dummies, so I saw there was a need for restoration and repair work, so I started doing it. Friends that would have an old dummy, or Greg actually let me work on a ton of stuff because he has a really
good guy.
He has a big collection, and so I just I did it trial and error and just kind of honed my skills for about 5 years or so. And then I decided when my son was going to be born, I have 2 kids, a daughter and a son. My son was my second, and I was like, I'd really love to be able to work from home because then I can see my kids grow up and spend tons of time with them. And the business was kind of slowing down from the recession.
Right.
And it was getting harder for it to support 2 families, my brother and I. So I said, you know what? The dummy stuff's really taken off, and I really like doing it. So I think I'll, take the plunge and do that full time. So about 5 years ago, I left the family business and started working from home. And I had a workshop at the old house down in my basement. That was it was pretty dinky, but I made that work for a long time, and I've stayed busy ever since. And I love doing it.
Obviously, Tyler, a supportive spouse. You have to make that move. I believe she's a nurse. Is that correct?
She is. Yeah, she's a nurse. Yeah. She works in the OR. She's on the heart team, so she does cardiac surgeries.
Let her know that we love and appreciate her because she gives us you. So show her this video and let her know that we really know what it is to be a spouse of someone who's in this crazy, you can see behind me, this is the decor in my my office here. I can one of the broadcasts I'll go around and show everybody everything, but we are in this crazy world. And I got to tell you, you mentioned your figure that Jimmy V has. Christy writes on here, his wife, he's one of my favorites. I told Jimmy he can never sell it. So, I mean, where do you see that? So that's kind of crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. Just before I came into my office to get on the line with you, it so happens Jeff Dunham's bio, his second bio special is on. We watched Jeff Foxworthy first, and then he was talking about his obviously life. It's not the best of his two bios. The first one is much better, by the way, because I'm on that one. So no, but what he talked about, what just struck me with what you said. Jeff very much a hands-on guy, a guy that builds his stuff. But he made the connection between working on the helicopters. That was his hobby, actual helicopters, if folks don't know that. Jeff started with model copters and then went on to buy a $32,000 kit to build his own two-seater helicopter. He credits that instrument stuff with making him a better figure maker. And so I find that kind of that parallel, that you have is kind of fascinating. In fact, I think one of the best aeronautic folks we have in our history of ventriloquism, it's funny how it ties us all together, is Bergen was a pilot, an aircraft enthusiast, and you and Bergen have that tie as well. And I never acted on my enthusiasm, but Jeff and I've talked many times that I just didn't act on it because of paths in life. But we all seem to have some kind of DNA in us. But you have that aircraft background, that instrument background, and then the technology, if you will, simple technology, but the technology of the figures inside. So Tyler, you kind of said it in a pedestrian way, that Clausen kind of gets you involved. And by the way, I've had a couple of requests for me to interview Greg, so you have to get Greg warmed up to this idea. Let's go down into his collection and interview him and talk about his figure making. But I'm going to let you work on that.
All right,
for you to really get involved in this, for you to do this, what lit the fire and what keeps you going?
Well, there are times when I have to. The exciting thing about figure making is doing something new or creating a new character that's original. I do a lot of repair and restoration work, so every now and then I have to work in an original figure just to kind of keep that spark there so it doesn't feel like a job too much.
Yeah.
Because
and I love your original stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it's fun.
We don't see enough of it, brother. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm hoping now that I'm almost caught up. I'm going to be opening back up for order soon, and I've got a couple. I'm going to be making I call him Dapper Donnie. It's the dummy face in my logo. I'm going to make that in figure form here pretty soon before the convention.
Good.
So
good.
I'll be making that, and I've got a couple little guys I got done.
Who are some of the people that have a copy of that figure or something similar to it?
Of what?
Of the Dapper Dummy.
I haven't sculpted that one yet.
Oh, all right. What about though? You have a character that I saw in the collection.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah. So the first face of my logo is Kirby. That was a dummy I made for myself. That was dummy number 2, I think.
And where is he now?
Brian Hagelgans has that one.
Ah, Brian. I haven't seen Brian on here yet. Brian did say he was going to join us tonight, so I'm looking. Let me say hi to a few people while we're talking about this. Sean Petrillo has joined us. Chance Wolf, another one of our figure makers out there, has joined us. I visited Chance's workshop, the Wolf's Magic workshop there. Hey, the man, the legend, Bert Dubrow has joined us.
Hey, Bert.
One of our good buddies. Mark Berryman back. Thank you, Mark, for coming back. Dave says, I remember that drunk guy. Fantastic. I'm not sure if he's talking about me or your dummy, but he remembers one of us. Annie Brooking Roberts. Annie Roberts has joined us at the Batavia Museum. Just got to love Annie. Kenny Warren. Oh my goodness, Kenny. You know what? We got to get you on here one day. You are one of our guys that built foundations. So
Yeah,
Lawrence Harris, good to have you back. Peter Valentin, great to have you back again. Peter wants to know, Tyler, do you get nervous handling historic figures?
Well, I don't know if I would. I think there's a little bit there because I think you'd be crazy not to be a little nervous because you need to respect them and know that. Because I've worked on figures worth more than my house, so it's like you have to have a respect for that, and also it's somebody else's property, so yeah. But the more I do it, the more confident I get. So I mean, so far I haven't found anything I couldn't fix, so it's not
Good.
So but it just takes time to build that confidence up. But it's important to always have a healthy respect there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I have another question for you too. Ann Seaton would like to know that Victorian chair behind you there. Where did that come from?
I found that on eBay. If you search for, it took me a while to find it, but if you keep an eye on eBay for child Victorian chairs, every now and then one will pop up.
Okay.
Everybody always asks me if I'd sell it, and I say no.
No, I know you feature your figures in it when you take photos. So very cool. A shout out to Jacob Moore. Hi, Jacob. Jacob and I have gotten to know each other very well over the recent past. So good to see you here. Matt Brunzel is on. Matt, remind me where you are joining us from. I don't think you're in the U.S. So just write a comment. Tell me where you are. And Bert says big fan of Tyler. So and another big fan has just joined. Tanya Trailer has just joined us.
Hey, Tanya.
So Tanya, tell me, are you in the Middle East? Or are you here? We'd love to know where you are during this world crisis that we're experiencing. And Austin Phillips has dittoed Bert Dubrow as a big fan of Tyler. So Tyler, let me jump into a few things. The obvious is what's sitting behind you. It's the stuff that, because I'm not there physically, because I get to go to these workshops of my travel, I haven't been to yours yet. I want to touch stuff. So tell me who do we have here in the very forefront here, and what's going on with that figure? Bring him closer to the camera.
This one is a smaller dummy that I'm working on. His hands aren't dry yet, so he's handless.
We love this. This is how we love to see stuff in your workshop. This is great.
But yeah, so he's got a nice like wavy vintage style wig.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is this one of your creations?
Yeah, this is a custom, like it's a original face. I took the that nosy style face, but reworked it quite a bit. So, but he's got prosthetic glass eyes and
oh, beautiful. Yeah. And just a moving mouth feature, I see.
Yeah, just moving mouth.
Just my favorite, by the way. I have many conversations with you and other people. I just love just having the moving mouth feature for obvious reasons. We're going to get into it in a minute. So that guy's available. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, well, he'll be done within the next week or so, and he'll be up for sale.
All right, let the bidding begin. There you go. Wait a minute. Can I stop for a second, Tyler? One of our vent community has woken up from his nap. He's here with us from Wisconsin. Dale Brown has joined us.
Dale.
And I'm not going to read his comment. People can read it, but it has to do with touching, and it's derogatory. And I'm sorry. Sometimes when he wakes up from his nap, he's a little foggy. So let me see if I got my answers. Tanya, you're in Abu Dhabi. Great. And Max Echo has joined us. Hi, Max. Tanya, yeah, you said you're Abu Dhabi. Who did I asked somebody where they were? Who was that? Let me go back a little bit here. I asked Matt, where are you? Where are you watching us from? It's kind of neat to know where people are calling in from. So Tom Pace says, cute little guy. Lauren says, gorgeous figure. Tanya says he is gorgeous, but I think she's talking about you and not the puppet. I'm not positive. But yeah, so yeah, good stuff. So who is next in the top hat there?
Okay.
And by the way, while he's doing that, I got to apologize to the audience. I look away from my camera because I'm kind of my own studio here. So I've got an iPhone to my lower right where I have to read your comments because I've got the full screen for Zoom on my desktop. So just kind of give you the behind the scenes stuff. That's why you see me look down a lot. I'm not being rude to Tyler or to you. I just got to read your comments. So go. What do you have there?
So this is another custom smaller figure. I just finished up. He's got like a little monocle, the gold chain, and kind of has I like his profile. He's kind of got like a little tiny clown nose. But
love his profile.
Yeah, and I did
No, leave that hair the way it was, dude. That was awesome.
Yeah, but I did. He's got a custom lace wig on him.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's pretty fun. But he also has
beautiful
other glass eyes, and
I hear his voice, Tyler. That's dangerous for me.
Yeah,
I hear his voice.
You can buy him, Al.
Very dangerous when I start hearing their voice.
I just wrapped him up today, actually.
Oh my gosh, I'm hearing his voice. That's scary. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites I've done. He's pretty cool.
So Tyler, let me ask you some technical questions, okay?
Yep.
You got two custom figures there. Let's start with the guy you just had up to the screen there with the top hat. What's the build time on him? What's the paint time? Give us the whole rundown. Where does the outfit come from? All of that stuff.
Well, I don't really outsource anything except for costuming. Every now and then I'll have custom wigs made. So it's pretty much all made here in house. This little guy, they're modified from the mini Marshall figure series that I did, where I made little nosies in the nosy style, and these are kind of that face modified quite a bit. Okay. So, but the clothes, since the bodies are so small, I have to have all the costuming custom made. So I have different tailors that I work with for that. The glass eyes I bought a big old lot of prosthetic glass eyes. I've got probably 200 pairs of them. And when I got them, there was a ton of them. But since most people they only need one eye, like they're singles. So I had to put like 1,000 or so eyes like all over my kitchen table. And it took me a week of puzzling.
So is your daughter back from therapy yet from that or not?
My kids, they don't get creeped out by anything. My whole family is desensitized to anything weird. So.
Well, your wife's a nurse, and you have humanistic eyes on your table. So I have a question from Dale Brown. He wants to know: is it true that last figure and Jimmy V both shop at the same men's store? Is that? Yeah. Oh, that was really not nice. You shouldn't have said that. I think Jimmy's going to be offended. So, all right. Hey, Vinny, my buddy Vinny Ewart just joined us. Vinny, retired New York City police officer. My pal. Talked to him. If not every day, every few days, and thinking about you a lot, Vinny. I posted a picture of you and I today, and God bless New York City. I'm really praying for my friends down there. So good stuff. So I didn't mean to drag it down, but so really, the new guy, the guy whose arms aren't finished yet. You said that the hands are drying still.
Yeah, his hands.
Can you show us that? Where are they drying?
Over here is usually where.
I didn't mean to make it groan, buddy.
I usually paint over here.
This is the stuff we're really interested in. So
yeah, so I put them on a little block like that.
So tell me, what are they molded out of? How are they molded?
These are cast out of a lightweight but very strong urethane. Very similar to the weight and feel of basswood.
Gotcha. Okay. Come back a little bit further so we can see the whole. There you go. Good. Yeah. You're on camera, man. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, so they're cast out of urethane. And then the mechanics are, custom fabricated out of brass stock, and the jaws are on a hinge like Marshall did. They have, little.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They've got balsa feet on them, little carved feet.
Which are really helpful to we ventriloquists, because when they have the balsa feet, then we can take them to a children's shoe department and get shoes. I've done it. Gosh, my poor wife has been clothes shopping for Floyd. Yeah, there you go.
These adorable little boots.
I love those. I absolutely love those. What's great now, of course, is with online we can find that stuff a lot better a lot more privately, where I used to drag my suitcase to a department store. My poor wife had to help me exploit into suits and stuff. So you mentioned Marshall. So let's go 1, 2, 3 down there on your table, and tell me what we see there.
Whoa! So I've got a Marshall that I just finished touching up. This guy's cool. He's got a really big head and he's got a walking body.
Oh, wow.
But this guy was Bob Isaacson originally owned him, and then he sold him to Dan Wellinger, and then this guy sold at auction. But he had been touched up quite a bit in acrylics, and the color was, it's really hard to get acrylics to match perfectly because the color changes when it dries.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I only paint with oil paints, but so I figured out over trial and error over the years, I've found a way to remove acrylic paint that's on top of oils so I can expose the original paint job. And then, so I cleaned off the acrylics and then I touched him up. I matched the skin tone and touched up the different areas. He's a cool figure, but probably
what's really interesting is 1, 2, 3 figures in a row with just moving mouths. So, yeah. I could go on about it, but I just, and so this figure, the original building date, do we know? Is the card inside?
I haven't been inside of his head, but let me see.
Now, for those of you, while Tyler looks that don't know, when you find a real Marshall, you can usually look through the mouth like Tyler's doing right now. Inside, Frank would staple or tack one of his business cards. And oftentimes you can find the date in there of when it was built on that card. So that's what our guy is doing here. While he is looking, let's see here. Adam Walker, welcome. Good to have you here, buddy. Adam says he sees a McElroy, so we're going to be patient and wait and see there. Tim says, yes, I remember him. Tim wants to know, does that figure have rubber feet?
No. This one, it has carved wooden feet. But yeah, I didn't see a date inside the head. So,
what's your estimate? Probably pretty early, right?
I would say probably mid-career.
Okay.
Well, the body is it's one of the earlier style bodies because it had the earlier style hands on them. Mm-hmm. So, I don't, I'm going to guess maybe 40s, early 50s.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure. It's kind of hard to tell.
Gotcha. And, you want to keep going down the line while you're back there?
Yeah. Then right here, I've got, this is actually a really cool one.
Can you recheck that, Marshall? Because he leaned forward a little bit after you left.
I've got a lot. The hole's got slop in it.
All right, good. All right. Yeah, you're frightening me. That's all.
No, we're fine.
All right.
I do this for a living, Al.
I know you do, but I still can worry about the kids, right?
So this is a Mack figure that was in a Lon Chaney movie.
Really?
Yeah, and he had been restored and done in a more contemporary style, and the new owner who bought him wanted him to look old and original. So I stripped him down and I matched the photos for a lot of these little imperfections like the hair flip and things like that.
And a glossy finish, right?
Yeah. So this guy's brand new, but he looks old.
What about the end of his nose there? That's a purposeful thing, huh?
Do what?
You got a little dot in the end of his nose there?
Yeah. So I had kind of roughed him up a bit just to give him, it gives him more of a antique look.
He's beautiful. He's beautiful.
Yeah. Lon Chaney used
look at that. Can you face the camera with that mouth? So there's that barn door mouth that I just absolutely love.
Yeah, and his slots are really tight. It's a really nice
taut, big barn door mouth. When that figure's talking, you know he is talking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Giovanni, I'm going to get your name wrong, Giovanni, so I'm just going to call you by your first name. He says, nice creations. Are the heads made of wood? So let's go right down the line of the 4 you've shown us so far and tell us the construction material, even though yours and Marshall's.
My original, these new ones are urethane fiberglass. Then you've got Marshall worked in basswood, and then the Max worked in basswood, And then that Greg Clausen replica at the end is fiberglass.
Okay. All right. So when you say basswood too, because there are people who are joining us maybe for the first time, that basswood is literally out of a block of wood, correct?
Yeah, I'll show you some basswood.
All right, great. This is a great treat. While he's doing that, Lawrence just confirms all you need is a figure without moving eyes. Yeah, Dale Brown, I heard you. All right. Tanya says, wow, 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 wow. Gorgeous now. David Scholler, who's from the UK. I thought I said that before, but I did see his comment. Unholy 3 Cheney movie. Let's see. Tanya now says he now looks back like himself. Oh, okay. Yeah, the restoration. Yep. Tim says looks great. Tim Isaacson. Austin Phillips says same mouth style as the early Charlies. That's a great reference, Austin. We're gonna probably, after we go through Greg Clausen's figure, we're gonna talk about a very, very special figure who's hanging on the wall there.
So here's basswood real quick. So basswood is a very lightweight yet pretty sturdy wood. It doesn't have heavy grain, so it carves nice and sands nice. And you can't like dent it with your finger like balsa wood or something.
Right.
But this is what most figures before like the 70s, I don't know, were made out of, is basswood.
As a treat on basswood, if I can throw in here, go to World Vents. I don't know if you know Facebook, but if you go to the top of each of our Facebook groups, if you put in on the top of the World Vents page, Conrad Hartz, pretty quickly a video will pop up of when I visited his workshop. Probably the most amazing display of basswood work I have seen in contemporary times. Conrad carves every one of his figures out of basswood, and it just, to me, it boggles the mind. And that beautiful little bench that he sits on, that's
cool. I love Conrad's work. When I was doing ventriloquism growing up, some of my favorite figures I ever owned were Hart's figures. I custom ordered one from him when I was pretty young, and I just love that figure. Great balance, great mechanics, great classic charm. The great Dummies.
Yeah, well, that's how I kind of describe Conrad too. Some great classic charm there. So do you want to show us the Clausen figure, or is that sure. Up for grabs? So Greg, for those of you that don't know, Greg is probably the modern day most studied McElroy construction guy out there. Wrote a book. What's the title of the book again?
McElroy Magic. McElroy
Magic, and this is one of his works. So please.
This is actually the very second dummy that he ever made, or figure. I'm sorry, I said dummy.
No, it's okay. Dummy's cool.
It's from a Cecil 2 casting that the McElroys did. But this is owned. It's in a collection, and it needed some touch-up paint, so it just came in for a little touch-up. It's actually got Bill Nelson paint on it. Greg was working with Bill back then, and so Bill wigged and painted this guy. But yeah, this is Greg's very second dummy. But there's the upper lip on it.
And show us the controls of it, please. There you go.
Got the typewriter style key controls. Yeah. Got the jaw over here.
Tyler, if you wouldn't mind, back up a bit from your camera, and there you go. Then go ahead and work the keys for us.
Okay, so there's jaw.
Yep.
Upper lip.
Lip.
Tongue.
Great.
Wiggle nose.
Thus the name, Cecil Wiggle Nose. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Nice.
Ears.
Make his eyebrows go up.
No,
make him go up. I'm showing you in the camera. Make his eyebrows go up. There you go. There you go. Good.
Eyebrows are weighted. Eyes are weighted.
Yeah. One of my favorite things when I'm working with the McElroy too is to move the upper and lower lips at the same time and get some true pronunciation of words. It's kind of fun to do. So.
Yeah, you actually get a lot more realism if you're really good at it. They're tough to work. Jeff Dunham is extremely good with them.
Jeff's fantastic.
yeah, he can really bring them to life. But if you use those properly, they can really make them come to life.
It's a lot of fun. I just love it. So while you're reaching back there, I'm going to read some more comments here. Let's see. Tom Pace, incredible. You're able to carve a figure from basswood. Mike Dupree has joined us. Mike, good to see you again, man. That's awesome that you're here. Brian, help me out. I get Brian's name pronunciation wrong with him. Is it Hagelgins?
I think it's Hagelgins. Is that right, Brian?
Brian, do me the huge favor, phonetically, because I'm an idiot. Go ahead and write that in the comments so I can get your phonetic pronunciation of your name. So I always feel like I'm screwing it up. Ronald Spears says Conrad is the bomb. Adam, thank you. Yep, McElroy Magic. Chance Wolf says Greg Clausen, you're a mechanical genius. We'll have him on here hopefully someday soon. Sherry Brown Rosner has just one word, and it's want. Christy Lynn says gorgeous. Once again, I think she's talking about you, Tyler. Adam Walker, I have a Nelson Paines. Yeah, very, very, very cool when he painted a few of those. Peter says wonderful. Tom says wow. Chance Wolf says the camera keeps switching to you. Oh, well, it does back and forth, Chance, who's ever talking. So I can either do this so you guys know, or who's ever speaking is going to go back and forth. Darren Matthews is watching. Mike, haha, looks like you have to be a piano player to work him. That's exactly right with a McElroy type figure. Chance say didn't see the half movements. The half movements. What do we on the McElroy? Go ahead and put that in the comments. Mark Paul, welcome, and says I would love one of these in my collection. Hashtag keep dreaming. I can relate. I got another one to put through college. Brian says Tyler's great. Darn late here, but that's all right. You can go back and watch it later. Kurt Guntz, welcome. Brian, I got it right. Thank you. Hagelgins. So good. We got it. Let's see. Marco Beck, welcome. And then Austin Phillips says Al was working, so the camera Al was talking, so the camera just focused on you. Right. So when I talk, I have two settings here, folks, just so that you know. I have one where whoever's speaking has the camera. Then I have another where Tyler and I can be side by side. So I switch back and forth to those. So when I ask Tyler questions, I will, go back to him totally. So Tyler, let's talk about. I have some discussion points ready back here. The guy that I think bonds you and I so well. I'll just go ahead and say it. You and Austin and Bert DeBrow and I. We talk about it endlessly, like it's a Ford Mustang, but it's not. It's this guy right here, Charlie McCarthy, and this is one of my favorite ads. That and the Coke ad I just showed. So, Tyler, talk a bit about this face, about this particular version of Charlie, and then talk a bit about Charlie versions, and then I'll show something else here in a minute.
Okay, so Charlie was originally made in the Mack Theodore Mack shop. That's where Bergen went and ordered them from. I know there's probably several Mack Charlies, and like for instance, okay, the moving eye Charlie, the one whose eyes move, that's in the Smithsonian, that's a Mack figure. I can tell by seeing the inside of the head. And then I'm sure the Macks. Looking back at old photos with original paint jobs, I can tell there's a couple different versions of Mack figures that he had. And then over the years, he had other duplicates made by different people. One of which was Bob Wallace. He was a really talented wood carver. He made him Charlie, an Effie, and a Mortimer.
Was Wallace a propsman, or was he a figure maker?
He was just a wood carver. He didn't make any other dummies that I know of. I think he just built. Bergen just found them and used them to carve some duplicates. He wanted them to look a little more realistic, so they had more realistic views. Mm-hmm. He didn't really use them, except he used the Charlie with some photo shoots, but maybe a few performances. But he didn't use them a whole lot. And then, but Bob Wallace's, my favorite of his were Frowning Charlie, and then Sleepy Charlie / Old Man Charlie. old Sleepy Charlie they turned into Old Man Charlie later on.
Both of those figures are in a private collection now. Is that correct?
Yeah, Copperfield owns all the Wallace, the Frowning Charlie and then the Old Man Charlie, and David also owns one of the most used Charlie that Bergen used through the prime of his career, the movie days and radio days. That Charlie,
Right.
and
That's in a semi-private collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me show you this Charlie. Let me go back to a full screen view. Let me show you this Charlie right here. So I want to tell you first of all, this is a postcard that was mailed in 1955 from Sahara Casino. And let me come really close with Charlie there. You have a name for this Charlie. What do you call that, Charlie?
If I'm not mistaken, that is the Do You Trust Your Wife, Charlie. It looks like that's the one by the eyebrows. Bergen had that TV show, Do You Trust Your Wife? And I believe he used that one in the show. Doug, if Doug's around, he can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's not here.
But yeah, it's one of the wood Charlies. I don't believe it's a Mack. I think it was one made later on. So Bergen used wood Charlies up until he met Charles Cristodoro, who worked for Disney, and then he hired Cristodoro to make him. Okay, that's the moving eye Charlie that's at the Smithsonian in DC. That's a very early one made by the Macks. You can see it in his Vitaphone shorts and some of his TV performances.
Great. And then I have one more picture too that a very famous photographer took, and I have in my collection. Tell us about that, Charlie, where he is and who took that picture.
So that's Fiberglass Charlie. That's the one made by Cristodoro that worked for Disney. Bergen wanted fiberglass versions of his figures made. They're a little bit more petite. The bodies were a little bit more petite and they're lighter weight, because Bergen's wood figures, or the early figures, had like solid wood bodies, so they're super heavy. So after he got older and it got harder for him to lug those around on stage, he had these made. So this is in Chicago at the Museum of Broadcast Communications. I went there after Bob passed away. Went up there to meet with his boys, and while we were there in town, me and Greg and David Pendleton went to see those at the museum. I took a very fancy camera with me and got a ton of photos.
Yeah.
So
thank you
that's
for sharing those with me.
Yeah.
If I look, Tyler, in back here, I'll pull them up at some point. But I actually, after, as I've said in the past couple of broadcasts, I'm driving my wife insane because I keep going to the barn across the street. But there's a photo that I took probably in the 1990s at the Radio Broadcast Museum. Not very well focused. It's on film before digital photography, but different placement now, right? He's displayed differently than back then.
Yeah, they moved him, I think. He's kind of by the elevators now, and they've got him staged a little differently, and they have the hats pulled back so you can see their faces better now.
Yeah. Yeah, if I recall, my daughter, who was in Chicago a couple of years ago, when the museum's closed, you can actually see it from the street because it's right straight in. So, which is kind of cool, actually, when people peer in the door. So Tyler, why are we so obsessed with Charlie McCarthy? Tell me.
I think he's the best character ever done by a ventriloquist. I mean, he was kind of like the first insult comic. He was very lovable, yet very snarky and mean, but you still loved him. Like, it was just, you loved watching him insult people. Yeah, I love Charlie. I got Charlie on my forearm, actually.
I was just going to ask you to do that, please. There, yeah. So actually, come back around. Give us the better view of that. Come show us that. There you go. There you go. Now, is that a local tat artist that did those two?
Yeah, there's someone here in town that did them. But yeah, no, I just love Edgar Bergen. His characters were great. He was very funny. You know, just so much fun to watch. my wife has seen all of his movies about a dozen times, but
God bless our wives, buddy. God bless our wives.
But she actually likes him. She likes Burger. She thinks he's funny, and she also thought he was cute back when he was younger.
You told me that once. Yeah. Well, back here, there's a bunch of Bergen stuff on my shelves, and there's even more packed away. And I just dug out some new publications. And the reason I'm spending any time at all talking about this is in the next couple of weeks, we are going to have on the group that you and I oversee, the Edgar Bergen Fan Club. We are going to have a gentleman on who's going to give us. I think this actually is an unauthorized piece. I have to ask our guest about this particular one. But Charlie was just prolific. He was a figure that just appeared in so much of what I would call back then pop culture. And then this one kind of gives me goosebumps, this particular book, because it's just so well done, so well illustrated. But the thing I love about this book, first of all, of course, there's someone's name on the inside, but the bottom part of that, which is just a testimony to everything, it's from the Charlie McCarthy Incorporated company. So how often do you see a ventriloquist with a Charlie McCarthy Incorporated name? So that's pretty cool. So, and I love the connection that you and I have. And then Bert, of course, I was ready for you, Bert. You didn't get past me. The other one, of course, that bonds the little group here is Jerry Mahoney. So, the other figure that to me, I think just means so much to all of us in Vent, and we'll talk about that in a future, hopefully a future interview with a guy named Bert Brown, if he's willing to do one. So that would be kind of fun. So let me get to some questions real quick. We are at almost at the 8 o'clock mark. I try to keep these to an hour. Tyler, do us a demo of your ventriloquism from Tom McCurdy.
No.
There's your answer, Tom. Dennis, what was the book Tyler had on his table during the convention a couple of years ago? Something to do with figure making. I think it was probably Greg Clausen's book, correct?
Yeah, it's probably Greg's book, Mack Magic. You can go to Greg's website. He might still have one or two left.
Yep.
He stopped printing them, but I haven't asked him in a while, but I think he might have one left. If you go to gregclausen.com, you can see the info on it.
All right, excellent, good. Steve London, welcome. First time I've seen your name here. Barry Platt, welcome. And he says, I love the discussion of what makes Charlie great. I'd love to hear more about that, other Bergen figures, but other event characters as well. We just mentioned Jerry Mahoney, Knucklehead Smith, Mortimer, Effie. Let's talk about Mortimer and Effie for just a moment. What's the background of Mortimer and Effie? I'm looking around real quick to grab something. This is kind of iconic. There is a little figure of Mortimer right there. I treasure this, owned by Bob Isaacson. Tell us about Mortimer, who constructed Mortimer, and what the background is on Mortimer.
So Mortimer was originally made by Virginia Austin Curtis. She was a sculptor / puppet maker. She did marionette. Her biggest product was probably that Clippo the Clown marionette. But somehow her and Bergen got in touch with each other. She sculpted Mortimer for him. There's actually a video you can look up on YouTube of her sculpting Mortimer. That's really good.
Yeah.
So she sculpted it, made a mold, and then she cast it up in wood dough. And the picture that you showed earlier that I took at Chicago, that's the wood dough. That's an early Virginia Austin Curtis one. It's a little bit lumpier than the later Mortimer, and it's got a few cracks going on because of the wood dough. That's a really nice character. Obviously Mortimer is one of the best designs.
You're talking about my photographs, right? So this one here?
Yeah. So the Mortimer there with him is the wood dough Mortimer. But Effie Clinker.
Here you go. This one.
Yep. That's wood dough.
Okay.
So Virginia Austin is now Effie Clinker. Actually, I think I've got it written down. Let me check.
While you're doing that, Chuck Lyons, Ann Seaton said that Greg is actually sold out of that book. Chuck said he got his at the convention. Nick Paulo, my buddy, says, Tyler, all of your figures that you make are fiberglass or something else, question mark?
For the most part, yeah. I work with wood some, but I haven't made a full blown figure from a block of basswood yet.
Gotcha.
I work with it a lot. Like I'll carve ears and limbs and things like that when I need to for restorations. But I would prefer working in fiberglass because of the strength and it doesn't change with the weather and humidity.
Gotcha. Well, Tyler's looking that up, everybody, too. If there's somebody out there that we don't have scheduled yet during this time that we are quarantined and stay at home type stuff, doing this as a service to the vent community. If there's somebody I haven't interviewed yet or haven't announced, go ahead and email me at al@algetler.com. That's really simple, al@algetler.com. And I will try to get that person scheduled up. I can tell you that coming up on Wednesday night, we're back to the Jimmy V collection, part 2. Tyler, are you able to join us when we get to that new figure that he has? Can you dial in at that point?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Yeah, I'll send you the information. And then Thursday night, everybody has a homework assignment. So first time I'm announcing it here on Vent Workshop. There's a fabulous series out there on YouTube. It's called Trillo and Suede. And it's by an old friend of mine named Jonathan Geffner. Jonathan and I are both New York City area ventriloquists. Back in the day, a fellow named Bob Ladd used to have a group meeting. Jonathan was part of it. Alan Seamock was part of it. Gary Wilner was part of it. Pete Michaels, who once again, we just may you rest in peace, Pete and Stacy and Pete Jr. and Diana, our thoughts are with you. Pete was a part of it. Just a cavalcade of great New York area events. And there were a lot of us that used to get together. So part of my education is owed for that entirely. But Jonathan is part of that group. And Jonathan has this fabulous YouTube series. Look it up. Trillo and Suede. It's a detective noir series. It is so well done, so high production value. Thursday evening on the World Vents page, Conrad Hartz's page, and Conrad's with us right now. Tune in and see an interview with Jonathan, but your homework between now and then is to watch the episodes he has posted on YouTube, Trillo and Suede. All right, Tyler, back to you. Sorry.
All right, real quick, the original FE carver was a artist with RKO, the radio production company. Joseph Zokorch. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but he was a wood carver that worked at RKO, I believe. And then later on, Chris Sidoro made a different version of it, just cleaned it up a bit.
So on the Edgar Bergen fan page, you're going to hear a great story about F.E. Klinker's name. I'll just say that much about it right now, and some of the documentation that once we have it set up, the gentleman that's going to be joining us will give you some great history on that. So, all right, let me check the feed here, Tyler, because people have questions for you. Let's see here. Kyle French, welcome. Damian James, he's back. Welcome. Damian, you know Damian, Tyler? Yeah.
Damian, way back. We used to correspond right in the early days, right when I started getting into figure making. And he's in special effects, extremely talented.
Yeah.
And very nice guy. We used to correspond regularly. And yeah, I know Damian well. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I almost got up there to visit him. I was in Seattle and almost made it over the border to go up and see him, but I'll do that sometime in the future. Let's see. No, Damian, you didn't miss anything. Folks, for all of you that are just joining us now, this is as soon as we stop this broadcast, it's going to cycle. Give it about 5 minutes, and it's going to be right there in its entirety. You can watch as much as you want. Adam Walker would like to know, who made Edgar's dancing figure? Penelope, right? Was that her name?
I'm drawing a blank.
Also in the Copperfield collection.
Yeah. Who made her? Her name is Podine.
Podine, that's it. Podine.
I don't know if I remember who made her. She's very interesting though. All of her controls are inside of her head. She has like key controls up in the head.
Right, because he used to have his arm around her and
put his hand up in the head.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Someone mentioned the other night, I think it was actually Jay Johnson, that Sherry Lewis used to have a Fred Astaire figure that she danced with. He didn't have any movements, but similar situation. So, all right, buddy, I'm going to go back here, but why don't you talk about whatever hits your mind right now as I look for questions.
Did you want to talk about our buddy Austin?
Who?
that turd in Maine.
No, let's talk about that. So, as I said, classic figure making, there was a bit of competitiveness. You and Austin are just buddies. Do you talk to each other almost every day? Is that about right?
Yeah, we talk all the time, daily, and he's been out to visit me a couple times. And when he came out to visit me for the first time, I want to say probably 6 or 7 years ago. He came out and stayed with me for a few days, and then we've been really close for a long time. We both bonded over the figure making, and we have all the same interests. And he's a little bit younger than me, but we're pretty close in age, and just a great guy that we're kindred spirits, and we make each other better. He taught me how to do leather work back in the day. We're always sharing ideas, and I'll send him pictures of something I'm working on, and he'll give me advice on what he thinks would make it better. So we're always making each other better, and it's great to have somebody that you can kind of it's almost like therapy, because this career, there's a lot that goes into it. It's very challenging in a lot of ways, and it's good. Nobody understands unless they're a figure maker.
Yeah.
So it's good to have somebody that you can talk to if you need to vent about something, or just to, if you're like excited, you figured something out that's new, and you're like, hey, I tried this new thing and it worked great. It's just nice having somebody there to kind of be brother in arms with and bond over what you do. So you don't feel like you're so isolated, because not many people do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love you both. And I know what great friends you are. It's awesome. I kind of feel like Conrad is the grandpa in this group here, and maybe you guys don't call him enough, but call your grandpa once in a while.
Yeah.
Chance Wolf's out there on the West Coast, and we've just got a great group. I don't mean to leave anybody out at all. Don't get me wrong, but I'm in touch with these four guys quite a bit. We are so gifted, folks, in the age that we're in. We have Mary Ann Taylor out there still making puppets with her daughter, Melissa. We have Barry, who's new to the soft puppet scene. We have Dennis Acosta, who dropped out of the heavens, and does an amazing job on the soft puppet side. And then we have these hard figure makers, these dummy makers that are out there that we're in a very much a golden age right now. Damien, didn't mean to leave you out. I just saw your name pop up. The work you're doing, the one you had on the Magic special, help me, Tyler. I just blanked completely. The famous Vegas magicians.
Yeah, Penn and Teller.
The Penn and Teller figures he did were just dazzling, amazing figures. So it really is something else. I'm going to read some of the comments. Guys, we're going to wind down here. So if you have a comment or a question, now's the time to ask it as I wind things down. My wife's patiently waiting for me in the living room, so I got to go soon. Let's see. Adam says, what started your liking to the McElroy figures, and what's your favorite?
Oh, man. The McElroy figures, I mean, they're basically the Da Vinci's of dummy makers. The brothers that, one of them did the art, the sculpting and the painting, George, and then Glenn would do the mechanical work. But I found out when visiting Bruce and Janice McElroy that Glenn was actually a very talented painter as well. But I just love them because there's nothing like them. They were innovative, genius. They're artistic, like their paint, the depth of their paint jobs are amazing. It took me the longest to be able to replicate their style just because of how good they were.
Yeah.
And I've worked on 5 or 6 McElroy figures, like original ones, and they're amazing. You're just blown away when you look at them.
Yeah.
Favorite one, I really like Jocko. He's obviously just superb. Sally Ann, I've worked on her, and she's really amazing in a lot of ways. But I don't know. I like so many of them. But I would say Jocko.
You know why Linoleum is one of my favorites. So
yeah, I worked on him as well. He's a really
I know
cool
you did. Yeah. Let me read some of the questions. I don't mean to move you along here, but I'm going to move you along a little bit. What sort of history books do you have in your collection? Peter Valentin wants to know.
I actually collect ventriloquism books. In my office, I have a whole case full of antique and vintage books. My favorite on the history of ventriloquism, Stanley Burns's book.
Yeah, sitting right here on my shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Valentine Vox's book is amazing. He just came out with a new edition to that.
Right, I can see your lips moving, sitting on my shelf up there. Absolutely.
So yeah, those two are
so awesome. How kind and supportive Tyler is. He didn't say zero about the advice and help he has freely given to so many, including myself. So that's Tanya talking about that. Hey, Virgil Norgrove just joined us. Tanya says Tyler has been there, the source for real knowledge for ages. Bravo, Tyler. Andy Gross says, Minkin, come on. Come on one, Tyler, LOL. So what did he tell about? Tell us.
About Mannequin? What?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Mannequin. He's a great
he's saying, give us some more, I think Andy's telling you.
Oh, give me more about the microwave stuff?
No. He's saying about, I think he's talking about the egg, right? Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, the egg that he made?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's cool. Like the Humpty Dumpty. Yeah, I love that thing.
All right, cool. And Damian James said that workshop looks cleaner than most hospitals do. Mine usually ends up looking like a hurricane hit it, but I think when I talked to you earlier today, the hurricane was mid-spin, right?
Oh, it took me half the day to get it this clean. Don't come by on a regular day without giving me some notice, or you won't be able to walk again.
We're on our best behavior for this video. So as I'm winding down, folks, you can think about any last minute comments or questions. A few programming notes, if you will, because this is becoming a TV studio here. Wednesday night in this very spot of the ventriloquist workshop, I'll be back at Jimmy V's collection with Chris Diaz, his camera person. And we're going to take a look at a couple more of his figures. But the one I'm most excited to hear some background on, including the building of it, is the brand new figure that Tyler just shipped him. You probably saw the opening. To me, it's the most intriguing figure so far this year, and I want to hear more about that. And you did a great job building on that figure, so good stuff. Thursday night here, at the World Vents page, the one that's run by Conrad, we are going to have Jonathan Geffner, who's going to talk about Trillo and Suede. So that's your homework assignment. Watch that on YouTube, Trillo and Suede. There is some great stuff coming up next week as well. I'm still putting it all together. I invite you to go ahead and email me at al@algetler.com, or go ahead and Facebook instant message if we're friends. If we're not friends, go ahead and hit me up. Tell me who else you might like to see. I will tell you that I sent 2 invitations to 2 of our senior members of the event community, as recommended by Conrad Hartz. I think we're halfway there on one of them. I haven't heard from the other one yet. I probably will interview these 2 ventriloquists, and I will pre-record those and just post them on World Vents. So watch for that. I'll announce, of course, when I do that, but that'll be coming up soon. So keep your eyes open for that. And of course, I'm here with my buddy Tyler. So let me check here. Tanya says, I think he meant the Minikin should be favorite McElroy. That's what Tanya said. Let's see. Sherry Brown Rosner says the black and white one, very nice. What are we talking about there? Sherry, give me another.
The black and white dummy that we just talked about.
Sorry, missed that completely. Yeah. You're right, Sherry. You know what I'm talking about. And then Damien says, I'm such a big fan of Tyler's work. So am I. So folks, with that, I want to thank you all for joining us. Tyler, any parting words for the group here? I will give you some parting words. Go ahead and point to them over your shoulder. These 2 figures here are going to be up and available soon, unless Tyler decides to put the one with the top hat in a box and send them to me. They're going to be up for grabs. So watch for that on. Where would we see that when you put those up? They're going to be on.
I'll post them on my Dapper Dummies page, and then share them into the groups like World Vents and Ventriloquist Workshop.
Yeah, so great point. If I want to reach you, how do I do it?
Probably the quickest way is either email or Facebook. You can call. It takes me a little longer to return calls sometimes just because of my crazy life with the kids. But yeah, usually Facebook's probably the fastest way. And I try to get back as soon as I can, but I also try to get as much shop time in as I can. So I try to designate like once a day to just kind of get on my computer or my phone and get back with people. So.
And your website is dapperdummies.com.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to redo it. I'll have a new website up pretty soon. And
your Facebook page is Dapper Dummies as well, correct?
Yep.
All right, great. I'm going to give one more read down through here. We have a thank you from Dennis, a thank you from Chuck, a thank you from Tim Isaacson. Tim, thanks so much for joining us, and we do miss Uncle Bob so much. David says thank you. Mike Dupree says well done. So Tyler, with that, I'm going to thank you for taking time out of your busy day and joining me here on the Ventriloquist Workshop page. If you joined us halfway through, give it some time. It'll cycle through. But with that, Tyler, stay on the line. We're going to say goodnight to the crew, and we'll wrap up here offline and say our goodbyes. So, folks, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow night here at the workshop page. We're going to see the rest of the TV. Take care. Bye, Tyler.